everybody, Dr. Tammy here. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you're having a fabulous day. I want to share some information with you that I think could be life-changing. And what I want to share with you is if you're sick in any way, if you have symptoms, you have chronic disease, you are overweight, you're tired, you have autoimmune disease, you have cancer, you have anything that you could label as sick, or maybe you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, not feeling good. Maybe you just have fibromyalgia, or not just, but maybe you have inflammation all over and you don't feel well. So my good friend and I, Ross Cook and I, just wrote a book recently and just got it published, and it's called The Healing Before the Healing. And I worked with Ross for over a year, it might have even been like 2 years, and once a week he would bring me into this process called balancing. And although I don't have any physical ailments, I'm really healthy and I keep myself really healthy and I take care of myself and I keep my hormones balanced and all that. Mentally, I was really struggling. And so one day, I remember I got to this point, and going through menopause, and I had a hysterectomy, so it was a surgical menopause, but I thought I was going to lose my mind. And I was looking for, I think what everybody looks for after their basic needs are met, which is significance. And I didn't know what my significance was on this planet, or what this physical body, what I was doing in it. And so I was just searching for answers. And anytime you ask, the universe always answers. God always answers. And Ross just kind of showed up. He'd met my husband Brian at a mastermind meeting in Idaho, and pretty much he said, he got this plane ticket, and he is kind of he is a healer. He has worked with some of the Hawaiian guru healers, and he's learned a lot about what the inner brain does, what the inner conscious does. And so anyway, he has a process that he's put together, and he's helped people for many years, and it's called balancing. And so once a week I would do this kind of, I was really resistant in the beginning, and I just thought, because I hadn't even started meditating yet, and I was like, oh gosh, this is just one more thing that I suck at. And I had self-love issues, and I was really, go watch my self-love video. That's a really good one from Sunday. I had some problems with the filming of it. I might have to redo it. But one of the things I talk about in there is self-love issues are completely natural. We all go through that process. So, don't beat yourself up about that. That's just one more thing to beat yourself up about. But I was beating myself up about it. I was beating myself up about, oh my gosh, my self-love issues. I don't love myself. And so when I went through this process with Ross, I almost went kicking and screaming, and sometimes he had to kind of drag me back off the edge, because I was like, I wanted to understand, but then part of my ego that keeps me in this physical existence and this kind of fleshly circumstance kept saying, no, you're comfortable here, you're comfortable with the dysfunction, you're comfortable with feeling bad, you're comfortable with splashing around in the mud with other people who are comfortable with that. And at some point I was like, I got to do something different. Well, Ross showed up in my life and taught me about balancing. So it was this kind of crazy thing where he had me cross my hands and feet, and it's got to do with the brain crossover in the brain. Bruce Lipton talks about that a lot, about the crossover of the corpus callosum, which I talked about last night with the brain chemistry and hormones. But so that crossover that happens, there's something that's kind of in the undoing of that when you cross your hands and feet. And so I would go into the scariest, most anxiety-provoking areas in my life, those things that I actually felt like I drew energy from, which is very interesting, because you actually get where you draw energy from fighting with other people. I don't know if you've ever had this circumstance where you've been like at a game or something, and the fans are yelling and rooting, and there's just energy in that. And that's okay if you're rooting for a team, but sometimes when you're yelling at a loved one or you're fighting with your family, you're drawing energy from that while you get it, but then you're so drained afterwards. I don't know if you've ever had a fight with a lover, just that kind of energetic drain that you have is exhausting. So I learned about this process, and what he taught me was that everyone has that need for significance. Everyone has that need to have emotional, spiritual balance. And so the book that we wrote together was kind of about our process together and kind of my process through what he does with people in my experience. And so it's called the healing before the healing, because truly, if you are sick, there is something that you have attracted into your life that has caused that sickness to come about. And I know that I'm going to ruffle some feathers, and there are some people who are going to be really offended, and they're going to say, how dare she say I caused my own illness? But I am telling you, I believe in all of my heart, and if this doesn't resonate with you, then I'm probably not the girl for you to help you on this journey or to coach you, but I'm telling you, everything that shows up in your life, you have manifested. Even the way you feel right now, which is an emotional manifestation. So if you feel bad, you're thinking about the wrong things, and nothing is more important than you feeling good. So I remember a story. I was listening to one of my gurus one day about a lady who had cancer, and basically when she was kind of talking to her, spiritual guide or whatever, she was like, well, I didn't bring this cancer about. And the spiritual guide said, yeah, but you were thinking bad thoughts about your sister-in-law or your mother-in-law, or you're thinking bad thoughts about your business and not having enough money. And so you don't always know the way that physical manifestations are going to show up, but if you're thinking stinking thinking, if you're thinking negative thoughts, they are cumulative, and they're cumulative in your DNA. And this has been proven because, I don't talk to you guys about things unless there's nerdy science to back it up. So the hormones of stress, cortisol, adrenal glands, they do not know the difference whether you are being chased by a bear or whether you're thinking bad thoughts about your boss. You still squirt the same amount of cortisol. And when you have cortisol over time, just squirting, I had to get into some hormones, right? Cortisol. When you have hormones that just keep cortisol just keeps squirting, eventually you're going to deplete your cortisol. When you deplete your cortisol, now you have no reserve, because cortisol is your body's natural anti-inflammatory. We always think cortisol, belly fat, bad. Cortisol is not bad. It's the balance of cortisol that's super important. So if you deplete your cortisol, now you have something called adrenal fatigue. And I treat patients. I've treated adrenal fatigue for almost 20 years now. And actually I'll treat them with a little low-dose cortisol sometimes. And I have other things that I'll treat with as well. But the most important thing is that you stop squirting out your cortisol inappropriately. And I won't say inappropriately because I don't think you ever get it wrong. You never get it done. You're not broken and you don't need fixed. But if you don't like what's showing up in your life, cancer, illness, disease, autoimmune, whatever, if you're overweight, whatever you don't like showing up in your life, there is something that has created that cortisol squirt, because too much cortisol over time, before it actually gives out and gets depleted, too much cortisol over time does cause belly fat. It does upregulate the fat to store those toxins, and it will actually melt the brain. It will cause Alzheimer's. It goes against insulin. It will cause artery disease. It will cause heart attacks and strokes. It will cause your other endocrine system to almost go into complete shutdown. So it's super important that you understand that thoughts become emotions, become hormonal chemical changes. So whatever thoughts you have thought in your life, even Mother Teresa probably thought some thoughts that were a little bit negative at one time. I don't know. I have no idea. But everyone gets disease eventually, and I do believe that we are creators of our own experience. And if you have negative thinking, you are going to create disease in your life. So I know that doesn't sound good, but the good news is when you accept that fact, then you can begin to change it. But until you do, you can't change it because you're still a victim. And I did a video series, and it's on Better Living RX, my YouTube channel, on the stages of emotional and spiritual development. And stage 1 is being a victim. And as long as you feel a victim to your disease, you're going to continue on that path as a victim in your disease. But when you move up the stages to empowerment, to I am a creator of my own existence, every thought that I think creates a manifestation, then you begin to take your power. And when I say nothing is more important than you being happy, if you want to create positive, because every thought, there's two ends, there's a positive and a negative. If you want to create cool things in your life that are fun, that show up, optimal health, optimal body sculpting, whatever that is, you have to have an optimism. You have to have a positive belief that you can have those things, first of all. And if you can't believe that, if you've injected too much resistance, say you want to have like sculpted abs. In fact, I was at the gym today and I saw my good friend Michelle Berger, Buff Mother, and she's got these great, just so fit, and she's one of the people that I modeled after when I was sculpting my body. There was a time when I was 80 pounds overweight and I did not believe that a sculpted body was possible. And I just made my vision board. I kept focusing on that. I worked with people like Michelle that knew how to help me get those, those abs that I wanted, who knew how to do the things that I wanted to have. And when my belief changed, then my body changed. And I really seriously don't struggle with what I eat anymore. It's not, I don't even really think about it. I do all the things, take my supplements, keep my hormones balanced. But I really just I don't stress, I don't worry, I don't, worry about my body staying in optimal shape, because I just believe that it is and that it will. In fact, my husband and I were just having a conversation at lunch today, and I think it's his sister by his biological father that has breast cancer, and they've given her like 3 months to live. And, I was telling him, I'm like, sometimes it does kind of cross my mind. I don't believe in mammograms because I don't believe that you should radiate a healthy breast, but sometimes it does cross my mind to go get thermography, which is infrared scanning, done. And then I think, you know what? I am not going to spend any time focusing on disease. I'm not going to spend even 17 seconds focusing on the potential that I could get breast cancer or that I have some disease in my body. And you can call me a Pollyanna, whatever you want. I mean, that's totally fine. This is my true belief system, and I have not always believed this way. So I understand if you're having, a little challenge with hearing what I'm saying. But I believe that I am responsible for my existence. Now, that said, have I thought some nasty thoughts that could have created some breast cancer in my cells? Yeah, probably have. And is that a potential? Yeah, it probably is. But I do not want to splash around in that possibility. So everyone makes their own choices, and I'm not telling you not to get screening tests done or not to be focused on your health. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is, why not focus on perfect health? Why not focus on working with somebody like I do, and somebody that has medical background, the nerdy science, who can help you with your hormones and get balanced and take the right supplements and exercise and eat right, instead of worrying about getting cancer because you're just being a victim. Why not empower yourself and make those positive changes so that that doesn't happen? And I truly believe that cancer can be healed, but I also believe that there are people that have what we call secondary gain from illness. And again, I'm probably going to offend some people, but I'm telling you, this is the truth. It is my truth as I know it. Anyway. But it is the truth as I know it, and I want to be really honest, and all I can do is be really genuine and authentic with you, and that is that the worst, most inoperable brain cancers can be cured if you can change your thinking, if you can change your belief pattern. But the problem is that so many people and the collective consciousness and the people around you, whenever you get disease, they reinforce it. And you keep going to doctors who keep reinforcing it, that yes, you have this disease and yes, it's going to kill you. And you just stay focused on that, and it just grows and it just keeps going in that direction. So I'm not judging if that's the path you're on. If you have cancer, you have something, I'm not telling you not to go to chemotherapy, but I am telling you that any time that you spend focused on that disease is time that disease just grows. And so you can change that trajectory if you choose it. I truly believe that. So the collective consciousness, again, the people around you, sometimes there is this secondary gain that goes with illness that you may not even be aware of, this subconscious, that you get attention. Maybe you've never had attention before, and now you get cancer and everybody's like giving you attention. I kind of think like that Christmas story where the little kid was like he was blind and he has the glasses on and he's like the blind guy because the mom had put the live soap in his mouth, and everybody's like, oh, I'm sorry we were so mean to you. That's being a victim. That's like attracting something into your life so that you can finally get the attention or whatever that you've never gotten. And that attention comes from nowhere but your self-love, from inside you. You cannot get enough love and attention from other people, even if you have something horrible like cancer, to make you well. It has to come from inside. It has to come from internally. And when you stop thinking those thoughts, then the cortisol stops squirting, and it stops eating your brain and eating your organs and eating your blood vessels, and then you can go into wholeness and wellness. And some people are like, well, I'm old, or I'm overweight, or whatever, how can I ever get back to where I want to be? Everyone can be well and whole, and I truly believe that. There's a lady who's 82. Her name is Ernestine Shepherd. She's a bodybuilder, and she didn't even start working out till she was in her 60s, and she is probably in her biological age, probably in her 20s or 30s. And you can reverse the clock of time with hormones and through supplements and through giving your body what it needs and taking care of it and treating it like the precious vessel that God gave you. So I'm not judging. If you have cancer or you have illness, I'm not judging. But I am trying to make you think that there's another possibility, there is another way, and it is never too late. Until you draw that very last breath, it is never too late. So maybe, just maybe, I've planted a seed that there is some healing that needs to happen before you're healing, and some attention to the negative thoughts that you've been thinking. It's not really the solution, and the reason I say that is because you don't want to think about the negative thoughts, but you want to start thinking more positive thoughts. And sometimes that's getting a guitar and playing it. Sometimes that's going for a walk. Sometimes that's spending time with your lover in the garden or going to the beach. And stop thinking those thoughts that keep you stuck in that illness. Let it go. Move on. Make a decision today. I am not going to be sick anymore. And just profess it. And, if you are in the religious vein, and I don't want to offend anybody, but if you believe in God and you believe that God heals, then petition God for that healing. And, I think that there are prayers of petitioning and there are prayers of gratitude. And I think a prayer of gratitude is so much more powerful, because I really don't believe in prayers for healing, because it's within you and your relationship with the eternal for that healing. It is yours. It is your birthright. It is yours. You just have to claim it. You have to remove the resistance so that it can flow in. So I hope that there's just a little bit of this that says, hey, I know I've got some resistance, and I'm going to focus on the things that feel good so that that resistance can go away and I cannot give my attention to it. This is true. If you've ever been involved in a bad fight or a lawsuit or anything ugly, the more attention that you give to it, the more power it gets. It's like a snowball. But the minute you stop thinking about it and you give it no more attention and you move on and you focus on the things that are good and right in your life and you stop judging that, it just goes away. You can think about like the divorce you went through or something you went through 20, 30 years ago, a death of someone. And yeah, if you think about it long enough, it would probably stir up some anger, some sadness, or some emotion. But really, in the day-to-day, not giving it focus and moving on to other things changes your attention. So if you've got some healing to do, I guarantee you that you've probably got some healing before the healing that you need to do. So just a thought, and I hope this book will help people with that too. The book is called The Healing Before the Healing, and it's on Amazon.com. It's on Kindle, The Healing Before the Healing. And you can Google Dr. Tammy Post and Ross Cook and order it. I think it's like $12, and it could really be the message that you need to hear. And I'm really excited about the book, and I'm excited for Ross because I think it's just the next step in him sharing his message with the world as well. So I just want you to have the most blessed, amazing life possible, and I want you to be surrounded by love and positivity, and come be a Pollyanna just like me. All right, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.